doing?
So my question is, I wasn't really prepared to, I'm going to throw it together here.
Yeah, please.
So a neighboring department recently had a call. They were dispatched to, the call came in as somebody is broke down the door of a house and is forcing out the residents. They're high on drugs. The officers and some of my guys got there within about 30 seconds. They were right around the corner.
Okay.
They pull up there. Now I'll back up. The call comes from an apartment building and they don't know where which apartment is. So there's multiple apartments. So they pull up. There is nobody outside in the street. There's nobody in the apartments. There's no sound of anything going on. And again, this came in as breaking down the door, forcing people out onto the street.
Right.
So they go in the building. They don't know the apartment number. There's at least 4 apartments. They see and hear nothing. One apartment, they can hear people inside, but nobody in distress, no commotion. The door isn't kicked in. The only thing out of the ordinary is the doorknob looked like it fell off. Not was broken off, not smashed off. It just fell off and is sitting on a floor.
Natural causes.
What's that?
Natural causes.
Well, that's kind of it's kind of a drug house, where
exactly.
It's a rundown building.
Yep.
So they knock on the door, nobody answers. They have the 911 center call back the caller multiple times. They don't answer. They don't hear a phone ringing. They hear nothing. So they leave. And the question came up the next day, some other people who said that they should have proceeded to kick in doors in this apartment building because of the nature of the call. And I think I don't think there's, and according to the officers there was they had nothing to substantiate going into any of the apartments.
So
I've got this just visual in my head.
I know.
Boom. Sorry. Boom.
Yeah, literally, they were literally told that.
Yeah, my bad. Hey, what you guys eating for dinner?
Ooh, looks good.
Let's walk through this.
Yeah,
Okay, let's walk through this. The first thing that every time I hear about, hey, response to calls and what can we do and so forth. The first thing I would like to know is who's the caller.
Who's the caller? Yeah.
So
Anonymous.
Anonymous
caller.
Wait, truly anonymous? So we talk about stuff like that, Anthony, a lot. Like, how truly anonymous can you be in this day and age when you make a phone call to a 911 dispatch center? Is there a number that calls back? Is there a name that pops up, or is it, they still have payphones?
Actually, it's funny. I saw a
have a
payphone in Las
number.
Vegas. I picked it up and it was dead.
They have a number, but no name.
All right. And they just gave this, oh my gosh, chaos is ensuing.
Yes.
Details, no specific apartment.
Correct.
Actually, somebody brings up a good point. You see on the
swatting. Yeah, exactly. And that's something to definitely speak about. So non-specific information, but you show up and there's no evidence of that. Especially they said that there's people being forced out of an apartment. The door kick is a huge thing because there's going to be visual evidence of that. And you talked about the door handle a little bit, but it didn't appear to be recently destroyed. And you've got no signs of distress. You got nothing.
No cooperation here.
No cooperation at all on it.
I ain't kicking that door.
No.
And the thing is,
which door?
Which door?
Which door?
But for argument's sake, what if they say it's an 11C?
11C. Same thing.
I'm pounding on the door. I am knocking on windows, of the apartments, but I'm not ultimately going to force entry in there. Right. And can I just, first, I guess a couple observations. Number one is that, in society, when we live in a society like ours, where we have a constitution, you have to have a balance of crime control and freedom, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is you'll have cops out there, and you know what I'm talking about. They'll say, yeah, but somebody could be dead. Somebody could be needing your help, right? And woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I guess I got to tell you is that yes, there is a chance. It's possible that somebody's going to die with our Constitution. Do people die because of the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're criminals, right?
Right.
But if we had no Second Amendment, I guess if we had no guns, but even though they make guns in Britain and so forth. Yeah. But the point is that do people get hurt with the First Amendment?
Yeah.
I mean, do soldiers still try to come
butt hurt?
Huh? Butt hurt. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, I hope you appreciate that. I want your cops to appreciate that too, because there are going to be some times when you just can't do anything, and maybe they don't like it, but also I don't want cops kicking in my door because a neighbor called in with nothing else. You know what I'm saying, Anthony?
Yeah,
So-
there were 4 guys on scene that night, and all
Mhm.
4 agreed there was nothing they could do. They
Right.
didn't do anything
Yeah.
further. It was the Monday morning quarterbacking by the supervisors the
Yep.
next day
Mhm.
that brought this up.
But and I'm hoping, Anthony, of the 4 of you, that you didn't just like, no sound and leave. You all
Nope,
probably
no.
walked around a little bit, like you said. You looked at the doors. You tried some knocking on some other doors.
Right,
Did
right.
you-
Maybe
did
you find a
did
witness.
You talk to somebody around. Hey, have you been hanging out here for a little bit? What's going on? Do you
Right.
hear anything?
Right.
No, you're not just doing nothing.
Nope.
You're gathering evidence to one way or the other, and it sounds like it wasn't there.
The other thing I was going to tell you, so that there's the balance of freedom and in law and crime control, but the other thing is that there's something called a duty to protect, and it's actually a misnomer. There actually is no duty to protect, generally speaking, by the government, and that's why we do have the second. That's one of the reasons we have the Second Amendment, because everybody's their own first responder, right?
Yeah.
So, but the reason why I bring that up, because you'll also have officers say, but if somebody got hurt, we're going to be responsible, right? We can be liable. Well, first of all, anybody can sue you for anything. And second of all, they're probably going to lose, right? Because the government does not have an obligation to do anything when they didn't cause the problem. So I just want to let you know too, like that's another issue. I'm not saying, I mean, and hopefully I know Mike doesn't know, I'm not saying don't do anything.
No.
I'm saying you take care of business when you have to take care of business. But there will be some times when you go to a house and it's a purely verbal domestic, and they're like, Duke cannot come in my house. The wife is like, look, we're just arguing about money. I don't want you guys in here. The neighbor didn't say anything. It was, no signs of violence. And then the cops walk away, and what happens 2 hours later? She dies, right? Because it got heated up, and that's sad.
Yeah.
And it's the price we pay for freedom in a sense.
But it's
This situation comes up a lot with domestics. There's a lot of times where we just have to walk away. There's nothing we can do.
Correct.
absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, there's plenty of cases out there where all the cops knew at the time was a verbal domestic, and they have to walk away, and sometimes it's a sad outcome, and it's part of freedom. Now there may be other countries out there that don't care, and they'll just do whatever it takes, and they'll but we have a constitution that actually limits the government, not says that you can do whatever you need to chase your intuitions and so forth.